Thus far, in the 10th canto, we read up to the appearance of Lord Krishna in the prison house of Kamsa before Vasudeva and Devaki. We recently read about Vasudeva's prayers, Devaki's prayers, and the Lord's reply to them both. So that's where we'll pick up on this week's studies. Let's switch over to those texts and dive into the nectar. This is November 2023, texts or lessons 8 and 9. Samapriya, you want to choose some readers? You have to unmute.
Okay, you don't want to read first, Pati?
Sure, I can read them.
Okay.
This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 3, The Birth of Lord Krishna, text 46. Sukadeva Goswami continued. After thus instructing his father and mother, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, remained silent. In their presence, by his internal energy, he then transformed himself into a small human child. In other words, he transformed himself into his original form, Krishna's Tu Bhagavan Swayam, which means with two hands. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord is not Prakrita Shishu, a child of this world, but by his personal energy, he appears like one. Ordinary people may have difficulty accepting the Supreme Controller God as a human being because they forget that he can do everything by his spiritual energy, Atma Maya. Atma Maya ya, Maya ya. Non-believers say, how can the Supreme Controller descend as an ordinary being? This sort of thinking is materialistic. Srila Jiva Goswami says that unless we accept the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as inconceivable, beyond the conception of our words and mind, we cannot understand the Supreme Lord. Those who doubt that the Supreme Personality of Godhead can come as a human being and turn himself into a human child are fools who think that Krishna's body is material, that he is born, and that he therefore also dies. Interesting concept here by Srila Jiva Goswami, that we have to accept that the Lord has inconceivable potencies. And when we accept that, unless we accept that, we cannot understand the Supreme Lord. It's kind of almost sounds like an oxymoron, that unless you accept something that's inconceivable, then you won't understand it. But by very definition, if you're accepting something that's inconceivable, then you can't conceive of it. But the basic point, actually, this topic is brought up in the first of the Sandarbhas by Jiva Goswami. There's 6 Sandarbhas. That's the Tattva Sandarbha. Tattva means philosophy, truth. So one of the essential truths to understanding the Supreme Lord is that he is inconceivable to the tiny conditioned souls, his parts and parcels. So here we see that he appeared as a 4-armed form, spoke to both Vasudeva and Devaki, and then right in front of them, in their presence, he transformed himself from the 4-armed form into a little baby 2-armed form. And there's more to the purport. Sama, why don't you pick somebody else to read this?
Okay. Manvantara, would you like to read? But before you do, I also often think of this word inconceivable as a safety net. It's a safety net because we don't understand the plan of the Lord. Even Vishnudev said, no one understands the plan of the Lord. And it's inconceivable sometimes to us. We're very tiny. We don't have much intelligence. And it's okay to surrender to that philosophy that the Lord is inconceivable. So I pull that card a lot. inconceivable nature of the Lord. All right, Manvantara, why don't you continue?
Text 46, purport continued. Actually, the Lord does not give up his body, which is eternal, but as he can change his body from the form of Vishnu to that of an ordinary human child, he can change his body to any form he likes. This does not mean that he gives up his body. By spiritual energy, the Lord can appear in a body made of wood or stone. He can change his body into anything because everything is his energy. Parasya Saktir Vivideva Shriyate. As clearly said in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 4. Vinana Pariktir Ashada. The material elements are separated energies of the Supreme Lord. If he transformed himself into the Archa Murti, the worshipable deity, which we see as stone or wood, he is still Krishna. Therefore, the Shastra warns, Arche Vishnu Shiladur Guru Shu Naramati. One who thinks that the worshipable deity in the temple is made of wood or stone, one who sees a Vaishnava guru as an ordinary human being, or one who materially conceives of a Vaishnava as belonging to a particular caste, is Naraki, or resident of hell. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can appear before us in many forms as he likes, but we must know the true facts. Gyanma karma cha me divyam, evam yuvati tattva. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 9. By following the instructions of sadhu, guru, and sastra, the saintly persons, the spiritual master, and the authoritative scriptures, one can understand Krishna, and then one makes his life successful by returning home back to Godhead.
Okay, so what can you tell us about that paragraph? What is an exciting factor to you, Manvantara?
It's literally just following the instructions that was detailed by Srila Prabhupada to first identify, what's a bona fide guru, and following the guru, which is in alignment with Sastra and other sadhus, and that's the formula for going back home, back to Godhead.
That's it. Going back home, back to Godhead. What about deity worship? I heard Prabhupada say something wonderful about deity. What can you tell me about that? The form of the Lord is Krishna.
It's an authorized representation of Krishna. Yeah.
Good.
And he's equal to all because he stands there on the altar, and everyone sees him, but differently. Even though he doesn't physically change his form on the altar, but everyone that sees Krishna is like, oh, he's looking at me, or nice. He's smiling, or he's losing weight, or you know what I mean. There's always something.
You're a cook. That's why you see
interaction. The interaction is a little different, even though he's equal to everyone in terms of visually speaking. Yeah,
that's so personal. Prabhupada was saying the other day in a lecture I was hearing that even a picture, because in the beginning there weren't deities so much, but even a picture of the Lord and that is worshipable and is Krishna, none different than Krishna. So much opportunity to approach him. Thank you, Manvantara. That was good.
Can someone share why Srila Prabhupada segued into deity worship and the form of the Lord in the form of his deity in this particular circumstance? Connect the dots. No one can connect those two dots, why he put that purport, why he included that concept in that purport. Now remember, Krishna just changed his form in front of Vasudeva and Devaki from his four-armed form to a baby two-armed form. So why did Srila Prabhupada at that point bring up the point that the deity is non-different than the Lord? What is the connecting dot concept. Let me put it up again so that everybody can
Is it
see
connecting the conceivable and inconceivable, as you said earlier? that you were reading?
That's there, but this point here is what it is. He can change his body. He can manifest any form he wants, anytime, anything, because everything is his energy. So in this particular circumstance, Srila Prabhupada's taken the opportunity to show how even though the Lord manifested as a form, we can't change our form. No, this is it. Yeah, we can't shapeshift. Some people can shapeshift, like Putana or Trinavarta or Keshi. They had mystic cities, but they can't just change their form at will to any form they want and then do different things in other forms. But this is this is the inconceivable nature of the Lord, but it's important. It's a really beautiful foundation for faith in the deity, to understand that Krishna can do this and that he is not different from any form that he manifests in. I'm reading also Chaitanya Bhagavat recently. Want to share a little story. When Lord Chaitanya revealed that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the house of Srivas Thakur for 21 hours, most of the time Lord Chaitanya was in the mood of a devotee. But this one time, for 21 hours, he sat on the throne of Vishnu in Srivas Thakur's house and told all the devotees to come and make offerings to him. And as they were making offerings to him, he was sharing with each one a little bit about them and their past. There was one devotee named Gangadas. And when Gangadas came, he offered something to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya, Vishvambar, sitting on the throne at that time, told him, Gangadas, do you remember there was one night, in the middle of the night, the Muslim Yavanas came to your home to attack you and arrest you, and you and your family fled your home, and you ran to the bank of the Ganges. But at that time, there was no boat, so you had no shelter. You had nowhere to go. And as you and your wife and children discussed whether you would want to be apprehended by the Yavanas or not, you just all decided to jump into the Ganges and come what may. And then all of a sudden, a boatman appeared, middle of the night from nowhere. He said, you've never told anyone about this. It was the middle of the night, but I know about it because I took the form of that boatman and appeared before you. And when he told him this, Gangadas rolled on the ground and fainted in ecstasy, realizing that the Lord had actually come and manifested himself like that.
Well, tell about that, the donation. You remember you said that?
Yes, go ahead.
No.
When he got to the other side of the river, he gave him one paisa, one coin for the trip, and he gave him two extra coins as a donation because he was so pleased. And the Lord accepted that and was very pleased with his sentiments. So the Lord can manifest anywhere, anytime, is the point.
And he's in his holy name. What do you know? He can manifest himself in his holy name, which is the Yuga Dharma, which is what Lord Chaitanya came to bring us. I think you're muted. You're muted, Pati. Okay, let's go.
What's the verse? What's the verse? Say the verse. The Lord's not different than his name. Anybody?
Tell me the first word.
Nama Chintamani. Huh?
Chaitanya Rupa.
No.
Nama Chintamani Krishnas. Nama Chintamani Krishnas. Chaitanya Rasa. Vigraha. Yeah, okay, you say it. Young brain, you say it.
Purna Shuddha Nityamukto Abhinatvam Nama.
Abhinatvam Nami Namino.
So what does Nama Namino mean? Binatvam Nama Namino.
Non-different.
Premananda?
So there is no difference between the name and the named.
Nama Namino.
Yeah.
The person who possesses the name.
Namino means one who has the name, so no difference between the name and the named.
Nice, but we have a difference. There's a difference between my name and me, or between the name of an object in this material world and its actual substance, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go on now with Tisha. Would you like to read, Tisha?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna, everyone. 10:3:47. Thereafter, exactly when Vasudev, being inspired by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was about to take the newborn child from the delivery room, Yogamaya, the Lord's spiritual energy, took birth as the daughter of the wife of Maharaj Nanda. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur discusses that Krishna appeared simultaneously as the son of Devaki and as the son of Yashoda, along with the spiritual energy Yogamaya. As the son of Devaki, he first appeared as Vishnu, and because Vasudeva was not in the position of pure affection for Krishna, Vasudeva worshipped his son as Lord Vishnu. Yashoda, however, pleased her son Krishna without understanding his godhood. This is the difference between Krishna as the son of Yashoda and as the son of Devaki. This is explained by Vishwanatha Chakravarti on the authority of Hari Vamsa. Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur commentary. Exactly when Devaki gave birth to Krishna in Mathura, Yashoda also gave birth to Krishna in Gokula. After that, as described in this verse, Yashoda gave birth to Yogamaya. Thus, two children appeared from Yashoda at different times. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:4-9, which describes Yogamaya as Anuja, the younger sister of Krishna. But when Krishna appeared from Yashoda, it is not stated that he had 4 hands. Therefore, it is understood that Krishna appeared from Yashoda with 2 hands because she worshipped Krishna without understanding his godhood. But Vasudeva and Devaki worshipped their son as Vishnu.
So this could bring up some different ideas than we have had before about the appearance of Krishna. So let's just call it inconceivable for now, and we'll go on from there.
No,
And
actually, there was some really wonderful, this was the forum topic, Sama, this week.
Oh, yeah.
And there was some really nice research that different devotees did and found, kind of expanded on the whole concept. Premananda, you want to share a little bit about what you found in Lagu Bhagavatamrita? That was a beautiful quote.
Do you mind if I just open my forum post just to make sure that? Just 1 second. Okay. Can I read it, Prabhu?
Sure.
Okay, so this is from Lagu Bhagavatamrita. It says, to give pleasure to his loving associates and even to relish his own wonderful pastimes, Sri Krishna manifested in Braja, Vrindavan. Because the parental love of Nanda and Yashoda is without parallel, Lord Krishna eternally thinks himself their son. In ancient times, devotees revealed that the Lord appeared in his Vasudeva expansion in the home of King Vasudeva. And at the same time, he appeared in his original form in the village of Braja. It was thus said that Sri Krishna and Yogamaya were the twin children of Yashoda in Brajabhumi. When Maharaj Vasudeva arrived there, he entered Yashoda's maternity room, seeing only Yashoda's daughter. Now, this is interesting. The Vasudeva expansion that King Vasudeva had brought with him from Mathura entered the body of the original Sri Krishna, who had just taken birth as the son of Yashoda. In this way, the two forms of Vasudeva and Krishna became one. Because this pastime is very confidential, it was not conveyed in Srimad Bhagavatam and other texts. So that's the thing. It said the Vasudeva form of Krishna merged into original Krishna, and so it was never. It's very confidential and not easily revealed to everyone.
Very good, thank you.
Does everybody remember last week when we read about Devaki's prayers to the Lord. There was a description that the Lord manifests differently according to the way that he is approached. And obviously, Vasudeva and Devaki seeing the four-armed form of Krishna. Does anybody remember the Sanskrit term of their worship? What was it? Aishvarya Gyan. They have knowledge, and of his Aishvarya nature, they know he's Vishnu. But at the same time, Sami, you really like this, where the Lord himself explained to Vasudeva, you should worship me, knowing me the Supreme Personality of Godhead and as your son. But yet here we see that Srila Prabhupada actually said something to the effect that Vasudeva, what's it say here? Vasudeva didn't have it. Devaki, Yasoda's spiritual master, Vishnu, Vasudeva was not in the position of pure affection for Krishna. So how could it be that the Lord himself appeared before them, but he didn't have pure affection? What he's talking about in that particular purport is that they didn't have a pure affection as a son. They had mixed affection as his son and as the Supreme Lord. But Nanda and Yasoda and the other residents of Vrindavan, we read Brihat Bhagavatamrita recently. And Sanatana Goswami in that book shows by gradual elevation of different travels and expressions that only in Braj does the Supreme Personality of Godhead relate to other devotees, his devotees of all sorts, in such intimate, friendly, loving ways. Everywhere else, even in Mathura and Dwarka, there's this understanding of Aishvarya, this mood of opulence. Tatamayi?
You were looking for the Sanskrit terms. I was thinking there's the description of Gyan and Gyanamayi and Kevala.
Yes,
So-
that was it. Thanks.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Kevala.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
That was in the text. Okay. You're looking for it, Patti?
No, that's
Okay.
okay.
Premananda, you want to continue reading?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna, everyone. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:350 through 53.
Actually, 1 second, Premananda.
Okay.
Just one point that was in the verse previously was that there wasn't really a conversation or instructions noted in Srimad Bhagavatam for Nanda Maharaj to take the Lord to Gokul. It says here that thereafter, when Vasudeva, being inspired by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was about to take the newborn child. I found that interesting because a lot of devotees kind of wonder how and why the Lord, why Vasudeva took Krishna. But here we see that he inspired him within his heart.
Yeah, he did. So that's why being inspired, a pure devotee can understand when it's being inspired by the Lord to act. So we can take it on that. That was an inspiration from the Lord directly to Vasudeva to bring him to Vrindavan. Okay.
Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:350 through 53. By the influence of Yoga Maya, all the doorkeepers fell fast asleep, their senses unable to work, and the other inhabitants of the house also fell deeply asleep. When the sun rises, the darkness automatically disappears. Similarly, when Vasudeva appeared, the closed doors, which were strongly pinned with iron and locked with iron chains, opened automatically. Since the clouds in the sky were mildly thundering and showering, Anantanag, an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, followed Vasudeva, beginning from the door with hoods expanded to protect Vasudeva and the transcendental child. Because of constant rain sent by the demigod Indra, the river Yamuna was filled with deep water, foaming about with fiercely whirling waves. But as the great Indian Ocean had formerly given way to Lord Ramachandra, by allowing him to construct a bridge. The river Yamuna gave way to Vasudeva and allowed him to cross. Vasudeva placed the female child on the bed of Devaki, bound his legs with the iron shackles, and thus remained there as before. Exhausted by the labor of childbirth, Yashoda was overwhelmed with sleep and unable to understand what kind of child had been born to her.
That's Yogamaya right there.
Right.
That's Yogamaya. How could that's complete Yogamaya. Go on reading.
Okay, purport by Srila Prabhupada. Vasudeva knew very well that as soon as the daughter was in the prison house of Kamsa, Kamsa would immediately kill her. But to protect his own child, he had to kill the child of his friend. Nanda Maharaj was his friend, but out of deep affection and attachment for his own son, he knowingly did this. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that one cannot be blamed for protecting one's own child at the sacrifice of another's. Furthermore, Vasudeva cannot be accused of callousness, since his actions were impelled by the force of Yogamaya. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur commentary. Because of the labor of childbirth, Yashoda only knew that she had given birth, but she did not know whether her offspring was a boy or girl. After the birth, Yashoda got relief from the labor pains, fell asleep, and forgot everything. The word cha also means everything. Taking this meaning, then, Yashoda, like Devaki, clearly understood that her offspring was Param, the all-attractive Supreme Person. By tasting Krishna's sweetness, Yashoda understood that he was the Supreme. Yashoda realized Krishna's true nature through the potency given by the Lord. Unlike Devaki, Yashoda did not know that Krishna was the Supreme Lord because of his specific bodily features such as 4 arms, Kaustubha Jival, and Chakra. The fact that Krishna was also born to Yashoda is not very well known.
Oh, boy.
As you said, inconceivable and mystery within mystery.
Yeah.
There are so many layers to the simple pastime of Krishna, so many layers.
Yeah, it's inconceivable. That is such a nice word to find shelter under. It kind of solves a lot of things. But you described it very nicely before when you were talking about this is not a very well-known fact that Yashoda also gave birth to Krishna. She didn't even know it. She had twins and didn't know it. So that in itself is inconceivable. The pastimes of the Lord are very wonderful.
Later on, I'm not exactly sure, but I've been reading Vishwanath Chakravarti's commentaries along with what we're reading. That's why I include them sometimes. And he mentions later on that this was also just like the work of undoing the gates and releasing the iron chains and making the river open were all done by Yogamaya. Similarly, Yogamaya covered Yashoda so that she was bewildered by this. And,
right.
Manvantara wrote a nice forum about the bewildering potency of Yogamaya. That was a nice forum entry. One thing, if you ever get a chance, if you're in Vrindavan and want to take a nice boat ride, hire a boat and go to Mathura. It's a beautiful, beautiful ride. The first time I ever did that, this painting that was Vasudeva carrying Krishna across the river, a very similar painting to this one, was on this huge building overlooking the Jamuna River. And it was such a beautiful place to put a mural on the side of a building, right next to the banks of the river where Vasudeva carried him. This big picture of Vasudeva carrying Krishna across the river was there. It's beautiful.
It's wonderful. Only in the Holy Dham can you see something like that.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. All right, well, we're going to go to the next chapter 4 now. And Ian, would you like to start chapter 4? Where is Ian?
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's much better this
Okay.
way.
Okay.
Oops, there's the echo.
The atrocities of King Kamsa, chapter 4. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.4.1. Shukadev Goswami continued, "My dear King Pariksit, the doors inside and outside the house closed as before. Thereafter, the inhabitants of the house, especially watchmen, heard the crying of newborn child and thus awakened from their beds." Purport by Srila Prabhupada, the activities of Yoga Maya are distinctly visible in this chapter, in which Devaki and Vasudev excuse Kamsa for his many devious, atrocious activities, and Kamsa becomes repentant and falls at their feet. Before the awakening of the watchmen and the others in the prison house, many other things happened. Krishna was born and transferred to the home of Yashoda and Gokul. The strong doors opened and again closed, and Vasudeva resumed his former condition of being shackled. The watchmen, however, could not understand all this. They awakened only when they heard the crying of newborn child, Yoga Maya.
Okay, so this is a report. Do you have any comments on this, Ian?
Okay, so we see where by the portents of the Lord, the locked doors were opened, the watchman fell asleep. Vasudeva, was able to go and return from Gokul and shackle himself as before. So when they heard the crying of the newborn child, then as I said, a number of things that happened before. So it would appear to them that the child was just born, but a number of things happened before. So as you say, inconceivable is the word that we could take shelter under.
It's interesting how everything is mute now, Ian, for a minute. Mute. Ian, mute, please. Did you? Oh, you are. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, good. Yeah, mute for a second. So, the inconceivable nature of the Lord is also present here. That's like. Let's go on. Do you have any? That was a good description also of what the verse is. Inconceivable. But at the same time, we see the potency of Yoga Maya controlling everything. You see? So if we put ourselves in a dependent, we are in a dependent position, but if we consciously put ourselves in a dependent position, that requires a lot of faith. Then all of these pastimes of the Lord become very recognizable and believable. Who are we that we should understand anything? We're very tiny. But if we become dependent on Krishna and understand his inconceivable nature, then all of this is revealed to us, and we become happy because we have faith that things that are happening are beyond our understanding. That doesn't mean that they're right or wrong. It means that they're beyond our understanding because they are inconceivable, and Krishna always acts for the benefit of his devotees. All right, let's go on now. Jai Shri. Thank you, Ian. Jai Shri, you want to read?
Sure. Haribol. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:4, verses 2 and 3. Thereafter, all the watchmen very quickly approached King Kamsa, the ruler of the Bhoja dynasty, and submitted the news of the birth of Devaki's child. Kamsa, who had awaited this news very anxiously, immediately took action. Kamsa immediately got up from bed thinking, here is Kala, the supreme time factor, which has taken birth to kill me. Thus overwhelmed, Kamsa, his hair scattered on his head, at once approached the place where the child had been born. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Kamsa was very anxiously waiting because of the prophecy that the 8th child of Devaki would kill him. This time, naturally, he was awake and waiting. And when the watchman approached him, he immediately took action to kill the child. The word Kala is significant. Although the child was born to kill Kamsa, Kamsa thought that this was the proper time to kill the child so that he himself would be saved. Kala is actually another name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he appears only for the purpose of killing.
And now read the read the picture next to it.
Yeah, it says, oh, I see. Time I am. Okay. I was like, what are we looking at here?
Okay, so how does that link up, Jayashree?
Well, that's what the verse says. Time I am, destroyer of everything, and come to, I forget the rest of it, but yeah, Kala is another name for Krishna, time. So yeah, Kamsa was right about that. He knew that.
He was
It was
right
his
about
time.
everything. Everything he was saying
Yeah.
was right. It's kind
Yeah.
of inconceivable, right? It's right.
Yeah.
I love that
Yes.
picture, Time I Am. I think that's a
That's
great,
awesome.
that is Time Magazine. That is
Yes.
the perfection of Time Magazine. Of course,
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I don't think it was on the Time Magazine, but a
But it should
devotee
be.
did that. It should be. This is like the perfection of everything right there.
Yeah.
Jayashree, for a moment,
Yes.
kind of do a quick meditation in your mind about Kamsa's mentality. How long has it been since that he was feeling this way? Since the omen, how long has
Yeah.
it been since he heard
Well,
that?
he's the 8th child, so it has to be at least 8 years, maybe more.
And finally that moment came
Yeah.
when the watchman came and said the baby appeared.
Yes.
It's like it's kind of like, he's knowing
Wow.
that, and oddly enough, the baby didn't kill him right away. He's got to wait
Right.
another 11 years.
Yes.
So he
Yeah.
lives his life in pure fright. He's
Yes.
always fearful,
Thinking
this
about-
person, because he has no faith in Krishna. His main consciousness is fear. Amazing.
Yeah.
And because of that, he was so atrocious and did so many horrible things to other people. Fear is crippling.
Yes.
All this very, very significant.
Yeah. I like the purport where Prabhupada compares the watch guards to dogs.
Yeah.
That was cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dogs are barking. And Prabhupada said also on a tape about that, he said, what makes the dog, they think that this is their job is
Yeah.
to bark at people who come to the town at night, as though they've been appointed to do that.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, it was cute. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let's
Thank
go.
you.
Let's go on reading now. Sri Vrindavan, would you like to read?
Sure, Mother. Hare Krishna. Peace and obeisances, all goes to Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:4, 4 through 6. Devaki helplessly, piteously appealed to Kamsa. My dear brother, all good fortune unto you. Don't kill this girl. She'll be your daughter-in-law. Indeed, it's unworthy of you to kill a woman. My dear brother, by the influence of destiny, you have already killed many babies, each of them as bright and beautiful as fire. But kindly spare this daughter. Give her to me as your gift. My lord, my brother, I am very poor, being bereft of all of my children. But still I am your younger sister, and therefore would be worthy of you to give me this last child as a gift. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Devaki was the daughter of a Kshatriya and knew how to play the political game. In politics, there are different methods of achieving success. First, repression, dama, then compromise, sama, and then asking for a gift, dana. Devaki first adopted the policy of repression by directly attacking Kamsa for having cruelly, atrociously killed her babies. Then she compromised by saying that this was not his fault. And then she begged for a gift. As we learn from the history of the Mahabharata or Greater India, the wives and daughters of the ruling class, the Kshatriyas, knew the political game, but we never find that a woman was given the post of chief executive.
Okay. Well, that little purport has a lot of significant things. What about politics for Krishna? Do you find yourself using politics for Krishna?
Well,
When is a very obvious time when you would use politics for Krishna?
Well, when I'm trying to, when we have our book distribution volunteers, and then trying to kind of tell somebody why they should not do what they're doing while they're distributing the book. So be a little bit diplomatic, so that they don't get their desire to serve Srila Prabhupada doesn't get squashed, but to tell them we'll do it in a different way. So yeah, it is a very tight. You have to be a very like a tightrope walker when you're engaging devotees, and because devotees are so special, and you don't want to totally annihilate their enthusiasm, and but you want to do it right. But I really like this purport because to just see how Prabhupada is actually put, like, we're just listening. Oh, Devaki said this and Devaki said that. Oh, I'll give you my daughter as daughter-in-law, but Prabhupada actually, when he presents, like, she was a daughter of a Kshatriya, so she knew the art of politics. Yeah. And she's giving Dhamma, Sama, and Dana. Like, wow, I really like that, the way Prabhupada is presented.
Who else was the daughter of a Kshatriya who knew politics?
Oh, wasn't it Draupadi? Rukmini. Yes.
Good. Yeah. Very good. So it's not bad to use politics for Krishna, but we have to be careful. So, okay.
One interesting point in that purport, and as you just mentioned with Rukmini, Gandhari, Kunti, all the daughters of Kshatriyas, although they were in the palace, oftentimes when people think of ancient cultures, they think of women as chatal, what is it? As property, as something that's just disregarded. But we see in Vedic civilization that that's not at all the case. They're very much revered and appreciated. Just even that was Vasudev's first argument with Kamsa, that you're a great Kshatriya and you're going to kill this woman at the time of her marriage. I mean, he went right to the point. The same thing happened with Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. His first point was that if we kill these men, all these Kshatriyas, all these men, then the women will be left without protection and unwanted children will be born. So there's a whole realization and concept about who and what a woman's position is in a proper culture. But it's also mentioned here, what was that last sentence, Sama?
That a woman, yeah, there you go. But we never find that a woman was given the post of chief executive. That is a political statement. But if we see that according to the Vedic culture, when men are strong in society, religious men are strong in society, people become peaceful. And when women are strong as well, it doesn't mean, see, there's a whole thing in society nowadays. Nobody knows what a woman's position and what a man's position is. So we think that a woman's position should be downtrodden, a man should be up there. It's not. There are glorious activities that both a woman and a man should perform. And there's nothing, and one of the most beautiful, wonderful things is a woman is a mother, and a mother is the most revered person in any Vedic scripture. The mother is most revered. So somehow or another, women are not nowadays understanding that nature that is so influential, a woman can.
As you're speaking, I'm realizing too, mother doesn't just mean someone who gives birth. There are 7 mothers in Vedic society. So that the concept of nurturing children and humanity is also part of that.
Right. It's a big subject matter, and
Sri Vrindavan has her hand.
Vrindavanji, yes.
I just wanted to say that Prabhupada, the last line which you just reread about chief executive, like this is the 10th canto. So I'm thinking Prabhupada is taking a dig at Indira Gandhi, who was the prime minister of India at that time, because she became the prime minister, I don't know when, maybe 72, 73, like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so because
it could be. This is that we see that society in general has switched. Everything is switching. and people are confused because there are differences between yin and yang, men and women. And if people develop that natural propensity according to their birth, then the world is happy. Otherwise, there's great confusion. You know, it's actually, we have to establish the Vedic way of life. This establishing of the Vedic way of life, this Varnashram, is very much geared on the understanding of what is a woman and what is a man. Anyway, that's a whole other confusing item. But we as devotees, we understand we're not these bodies anyway, but through this body, I'm supposed to serve Krishna. How glorious, what a great opportunity, you know, so we can try to, and it will be natural for a woman to act like a woman, but it doesn't mean meek. Everybody should be meek and humble. But there's such a refined element of womanhood.
As we see here.
Yeah.
He was just Prabhupada was just glorifying it. You know, yeah. she's getting what she wants, or she's at least pleading to get what she wants, using her womanly nature rather than trying to be like a man and antagonize him and fight with him or try to dominate him. She's using womanly characteristics, even in a Kshatriya political manner, which is the beauty of it.
Yeah. We have to take what Krishna has given us personally and use it for him in a most beautiful, conscious, refined manner. And it takes a while to understand that. And of course, we have the holy name, which actually helps us to understand it. All these literatures and our sadhana, this helps us to understand how to use what we have to serve Krishna. Okay, that's a really broad, wonderful topic. Let's go on. Chaitamayi, would you like to continue? Thank you, Sri Vrindavan.
Jai. Good morning, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam 10:4-7 through 11. Shukdev Goswami continued, piteously embracing her daughter and crying, Devaki begged Kamsa for the child. But he was so cruel that he chastised her and forcibly snatched the child from her hands. Having uprooted all relationships with his sister because of intense selfishness, Kamsa, who was sitting on his knees, grasped the newborn child by the legs and tried to dash her against the surface of a stone. The child, Yogamaya Devi, the younger sister of Lord Vishnu, slipped upward from Kamsa's hands and appeared in the sky as Devi, the goddess Durga, with 8 arms, completely equipped with weapons. The goddess Durga was decorated with flower garlands, smeared with sandalwood pulp, and dressed with excellent garments and ornaments made of valuable jewels. Holding in her hands a bow, a trident, arrows, a shield, a sword, a conch shell, a disc, and a club, and being praised by celestial beings like Apsaras, Kinnaras, Uragas, Siddhas, Charanas, and Gandharvas, who worshipped her with all kinds of presentations. She spoke as follows.
Okay, Chita, leave this here for a moment. Would you?
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think about this description?
This is one of the few descriptions of Durga that I've seen in the Srimad Bhagavatam in all her glory. She's got all the paraphernalia. She's in her full effulgence. And it's so wonderful because we understand that Kamsa really needs a wake-up call. And for him to see his worshipful deity, I understand that he's worshiping Durga all along, for her to see him right in front of his eyes in all of this radiance, this is where at least a momentary transformation happens for him. this display was required for him to have this realization.
Good. And also we see how powerful this Durga Devi is. She is the mother of the universe, Jagat Ambika, the mother of the universe. So she knows, she's not in the category of a jiva. She's in a direct expansion from Krishna. Okay, so you want to read the next one, Chaitanya? You can read that.
As you wish.
Yeah.
Srimad Bhagavatam 10:4, 7 through 12 and 13. Oh, Kamsa, you fool! What will be the use of killing me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has been your enemy from the very beginning and who will certainly kill you, has already taken his birth somewhere else. Therefore, do not unnecessarily kill other children. After speaking to Kamsa in this way, the goddess Durga, Yoga Maya, appeared in different places, such as Varanasi, and became celebrated by different names, such as Annapurna, Durga, Kali, and Bhadra. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The goddess Durga is celebrated in Calcutta as Kali, in Bombay as Mumba Devi, in Varanasi as Annapurna, in Cuttack as Bhadrakali, and in Ahmedabad as Bhadra. Thus, in different places, she is known by different names. Her devotees are known as Shaktas, or worshippers of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas worshippers of the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself are called Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas are destined to return home back to Godhead in the spiritual world, whereas the Shaktas are destined to live within this material world to enjoy different types of material happiness.
That's a little scary.
Yes, it is.
Hare Krishna.
And Shakti worship is so popular. It's just amazing that there's so much misunderstanding about what is the goal. And
Krishna facilitates us all. He facilitates us. If we want to stay in the material world, yes. And there's all different ways to stay. You can stay in a very degrading manner, or you can learn the ropes and climb up and then become masters in the material world, which is very entangling.
Wow. I'm so glad that I received this purport to read, because I actually found another reference. This is from Jaiva Dharma, Gopi Parananda's translation. And in it, there's a conversation between a Vaishnav and this gentleman Digambar, who is a staunch Durga worshiper. Right. And they're having a discussion about what is a Shakta. And then he says, Digambar says, Advaita says, who's the Vaishnav, he says, we are also a potency. We are Jiva Shakti, individual souls. When we become free from the ropes of the Maya potency, we are in the power of the spiritual potency. And Digambar, the Durga worshiper, says, then you are also a Shakta, a worshiper of the potency. And the Vaishnav says, yes, Vaishnavas are naturally Shaktas. We are the servants of Sri Radhika, who is the spiritual potency. Under her patronage, we worship and serve Lord Krishna, who is more of a Shakta than we.
Oh, that's good.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, it's very wonderful. Very wonderful. Very nice. Thank you. That was beautiful. Yeah. The Vaishnavas have it right. We have it right. And there's so much room for confusion in the application of the Vedic philosophy. We see there's every kind of confusion. We are so fortunate to have come in contact with Srila Prabhupada, really. Each one of us in this movement, we're very fortunate. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Pati, you want to
yeah, before we go on, there's one point to note here of the instructions that his worshipable deity gives him. And he says here that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has been your enemy from the very beginning and who will certainly kill you, has already taken his birth somewhere else. That's a big point that will come up later. And also she says, therefore, do not unnecessarily kill other children. Note these two instructions as we progress. Okay, next.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so Manvantara, would you like to read this?
Text 14 through 18. After hearing the words of the goddess Durga, Kamsa was struck with wonder. Thus he approached his sister Devaki and brother-in-law Vasudeva, released them immediately from their shackles, and very humbly spoke as follows. Alas, my sister, alas, my brother-in-law, I am indeed so sinful that exactly like a man-eater, Rakshasa, who eat his own child, I have killed so many of your sons born of you. Being merciless and cruel, I have forsaken all my relatives and friends. Therefore, like a person who have killed a Brahmana, I do not know to which planet I shall go, either after death or while breathing. Alas, not only human beings, but sometimes even providence lies, and I am so sinful that I believe the omen of providence and killed so many of my sister's children. O great souls, your children have suffered their own misfortune. Therefore, please do not lament for them. All living entities are under the control of the Supreme, and they cannot always live together.
Go on with the next little purport here.
Purport. Asuras are very devoted to the goddess Durga, Kali, and so forth. Kamsa, therefore, truly astonished, appreciated the exalted position of his sister and brother-in-law. Durga is certainly not under the laws of nature because she herself is the controller of the laws of nature. Ordinary living beings, however, are controlled by these laws. Parikti kiryamana anani guni karmani sarvasha. Consequently, none of us are allowed to live together for any long period. By speaking in this way, Kamsa tried to pacify his sister and brother-in-law.
God, can you imagine Kamsa's position here? He almost sounds like a nice guy. Almost, right? What do you think, Manvantara? What do you think Kamsa's doing with all this?
Demons should not be trusted.
There you go. They cannot be trusted. I mean, really, it's amazing. Even Ravana also, you see all these big demons who actually know the Vedic philosophy, but their hearts are not pure. And when there's a chance for their own sense gratification and satisfaction, they'll kill anyone. So
that's a really good point. Just because you know something, just because you have wisdom or knowledge and you've heard it and you understand it, doesn't mean that you'll actually be able to follow it unless you're submissive to it. And
that's a good word,
right? Oral
submissive.
reception, yeah.
Submissive. We have to be submissive to Krishna, or
as we were reading this too, I was just envisioning it because we're all reading it together. This is in the prison house. Vasudeva has just come back and reshackled himself. The baby started to cry. The watchman went and got Kamsa. So he came down into the prison house. He's right there with Vasudeva and Devaki shackled. He grabbed their child, tried to dash her against the stone, and immediately in front of everybody, she came up and gave this whole, instructions to him and showed herself to him. And immediately he undid the chains and started to offer these respect to them, understanding that, whoa, my sister gave birth to Durga. She's no ordinary person.
My goodness. Okay. All right, let's go on. with Tisha. Would you like to read, Tisha?
Yes, that's a G. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:4, through 22. One who does not understand the constitutional position of the body and the soul, Atma, becomes too attached to the bodily concept of life. Consequently, because of attachment to the body and its byproducts, he feels affected by union with and separation from his family, society, and nation. As long as this continues, one continues his material life. Otherwise, one is liberated. My dear sister Devaki, all good fortune unto you. Everyone suffers and enjoys the results of his own work under the control of providence. Therefore, although your sons have unfortunately been killed by me, please do not lament for them. In the bodily conception of life, one remains in darkness without self-realization, thinking, I am being killed, or I have killed my enemies. As long as a foolish person thus considers the self to be the killer or the killed, he continues to be responsible for material obligations, and consequently, he suffers the reactions of happiness and distress.
Okay. Before you go on, can you read the first, put back to the verse again, Pati, please. Read that first one again.
One who does not understand the constitutional position of the body and the soul, Atma, becomes too attached to the bodily concept of life. Consequently, because of attachment to the body and its byproducts, he feels affected by union with and separation from his family, society, and nation. As long as this continues, one continues his material life. Otherwise, one is liberated.
Sounds simple, huh?
Yeah.
Sounds simple, but it's not so simple, but that's the instruction right there. It sounds simple. All right, keep that in mind, and we're going to have someone else read the purport, and then we can have a little discussion. Premananda, would you like to read the purport?
Yes, sure. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Everyone, beginning from the small insect known as Indra Gopa, up to Indra, the king of the heavenly planets, is obliged to undergo the results of his fruitive activities. We may superficially see that one is suffering or enjoying because of some external causes, but the real cause is one's own fruitive activities. Even when someone kills someone else, it is to be understood that the person who was killed met the fruitive results of his own work, and that the man who killed him acted as the agent of material nature. Thus Kamsa begged Devaki's pardon by analyzing the matter deeply. He was not the cause of the death of Devaki's sons. Rather, this was their own destiny. Under the circumstances, Devaki should excuse Kamsa and forget his past deeds without lamentation. Kamsa admitted his own fault, but whatever he had done was under the control of providence. Kamsa might have been the immediate cause for the death of Devaki's sons, but the remote cause was their past deeds. This was an actual fact.
Oh my goodness, such a far out, deep concept of the remote and immediate causes of activities. So, Premananda, can you say something, and Tisha, about this verse and very deep verse and purport?
I don't understand Kamsa's mindset. First of all, you committed this heinous crime, and then he used philosophy to justify. I don't get
Demon,
it.
a real
It's
demon.
like, yeah.
Oh, don't mind that I killed
if you
6
had known-
sons. Don't worry.
Exactly. If you had known the philosophy right from the beginning, why did you even go and do these activities? I mean, I don't get it.
No, he's a demon, and you're not a demon. You can't even. It's inconceivable, this kind of behavior. He can talk himself. He thinks he can talk himself out of it, but immediately he gets talked back into it, and within seconds from his ministers. So it's very. Tisha, what do you think?
Well, I think that Kamsa's looking for a way out or whatever, trying to justify his actions. But what he's saying here is the harsh reality. It's not, it's the facts here.
Yeah.
And you can read over it a million times, but until you understand the connections that we have with each other, and then when they're gone, you know, then it hits you. Wow, yes, this is attachment to the bodily concept of life.
And yeah,
Temporary.
it's temporary. And Vigyan means realized knowledge, and that's what we're all hankering for, and that's what you're developing, Vigyan. And that with that realized knowledge, you can go back to Godhead, and that's what the whole thing is about. All of the cruel face of material nature, they call it the cruel face of material nature. Thank you, Tisha.
Manvantari has her hand raised.
Oh, Manvantaraji.
I was thinking that I was trying to make sense of what Kamsa was saying, and I was thinking about soldiers who are in war or combat, active combat. When war is over, and they come back and they have so many mental health problems because they think that they are the killer of the so-called enemy, you know, and those who don't think that they're the killer, they just think that, oh, I'm just acting on behalf of my government, you know, this is my job and this is what I'm doing. I not only kill people, I kill systems, and this is what I do. And so the ones who think I am the killer, they end up with this PTSD type of problem, and is so excruciating mentally, and is paralyzing actually. And so there is some points, you know, that like, but Krishna says the same thing, but the opposite way. He's like, you know, you act and you don't become attached. And then that in itself is liberating. You know, you act on his behalf, and that's liberating. Just like how if the person act on behalf of the government, they're liberating. It's liberating. But when they are in war and they do things that are not sanctioned, you know, like, you know, killing their fellow comrades because that person happened to be of a different skin color, or raping and looting and stealing and stuff like that. If those things are not sanctioned, then, you know, you're not liberated from those actions. You know what I mean?
Very good point, Manvantara. Prabhupada also uses that example. In wartime, someone could be awarded so many different medals of honor for killing masses of people who happen to be the enemy. But if he kills one person in the time, and it goes back to his country and kills one person, then he says, why he has to be arrested or killed or some great punishment. And then the soldier might say, why is that? I killed so many people before, but now I killed one person. And so you're right, that was a good concept, although on a higher spiritual level, we shouldn't kill anyone. But here we are trying to act properly according to the injunctions of the Vedas.
Got to kind of catch that concept that you just presented. That's the one that Arjuna presented. And what did Krishna say? That we shouldn't kill anybody. No, let them have the kingdom. Killing my brothers, killing my grandfathers and my teachers, killing all these people. It's not right. I'm not that attached to the kingdom. Let them have it, and I'll just stop. I'm going to.
But I'm attached to something else. So that same attachment is there. But you're right.
Killing is necessary.
Right.
It's a nice point when Srila Prabhupada does a nice video rendition of some scholars met with Srila Prabhupada in the garden in Los Angeles. And they were talking about Bhagavad Gita. And one of them actually says to Srila Prabhupada at a similar point. He said, well, I would have to be quite hesitant to kill someone. There's no necessity to kill. And Srila Prabhupada looks up in the sky just for a moment and he says, no, even God discriminates. Paritanaya Sarunam, Vinashaya Tuduskakam. He comes to protect his devotees. And he said evil exists. We have to acknowledge that it exists and that it should be rooted out by those who are protecting the rest of society. Another point here that I was appreciating as we're reading it is the wisdom that we're being educated in is truth. And unfortunately, most of us, practically every one of us, has been educated since childhood to think we're this body.
Yeah.
We're part of a nation. We're part of a concept, and it's very deeply rooted. Whereas in a Vedic culture, even though they still act in that way, and there's still sadness when like Abhimanyu died and things like that, there's an underlying philosophical understanding that I'm not this body, that this is all part of a temporary manifestation, and that we'll all continue on. It's a different way of looking at the world, very different.
It's also amazing to think that not only is this a temporary existence, but we have had so many mothers and fathers, so many husbands and wives and children and relatives and friends in our eternal experience in this material world. So just like when King Maharaj Chitraketu, he was very attached to his newborn child, and because there was some feud in the palace, the other co-wives killed the boy, and then he comes back to birth because Narada Muni sees that. Was it Narada Muni or Parvat Muni comes back and sees that the king is lamenting like anything, and he comes and he says, okay, he gets the child to be alive again, and the child says, Narada Muni says, here's your child, you can speak with him. He's come back to his body. And then the child says, which mother and father are you? Immediately, which mother and father are you? All the attachment, when the body is given up, the soul goes on to its next destination. Which mother and father are you? That was kind of, whoa. All right, let's finish this up now with Jayashree. Would you like to read?
Sure. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:4, 23 to 27. Kamsa begged, my dear sister and brother-in-law, please be merciful to such a poor-hearted person as me, since both of you are saintly persons. Please excuse my atrocities. Having said this, Kamsa fell at the feet of Vasudeva and Devaki, his eyes full of tears and of regret. Fully believing in the words of the goddess Durga, Kamsa exhibited his familial affection for Devaki and Vasudeva by immediately releasing them from their iron shackles. When Devaki saw her brother actually repentant while explaining ordained events, she was relieved of all anger. Similarly, Vasudeva was also free from all anger. Smiling, he spoke to Kamsa as follows. O great personality Kamsa, only by the influence of ignorance does one accept the material body and bodily ego. What you have said about this philosophy is correct. Persons in the bodily concept of life, lacking self-realization, differentiate in terms of this is mine and this belongs to another. Persons with the vision of differentiation are imbued with the material qualities, lamentation, jubilation, fear, envy, greed, illusion, and madness. They are influenced by the immediate cause, which they are busy counteracting, because they have no knowledge of the remote supreme cause, the personality of Godhead.
Okay, Ian, why don't you read the purport and then we'll have a discussion. Ian?
Okay, Hare Krishna. So Devaki and Vasudeva, both highly elevated personalities, accepted the truth presented by Kamsa and that everything is ordained by providence. According to the prophecy, Kamsa would be killed by the 8th child of Devaki. Therefore, Vasudeva and Devaki saw that behind all these incidents was a great plan devised by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because Lord had already taken birth just like a human child and was in a safe custody of Yashoda, everything was happening according to plan. And there was no need to continue their ill feeling toward Kamsa. Thus they accepted Kamsa's words.
Okay, so, okay,
Wow.
both of you comment on that.
So I see them on the mic. Okay, so as we know, everything is in the plan of the Lord, and we are just, instruments in terms of what we do. However, there are some as it's seen that there is some, in case where the person knew the Vedic principles. For example, Kamsa, he knew the right thing, but because of his mentality, his mode of being a demon, although he knew what to do, but yes, he ended up doing the wrong thing. And also the whole aspect of forgiving, the Baki and Vasudev saying that, since you are repentant and so forth, then we forgive you. There's no need to be continuing this ill feeling. So that was an important point.
Yeah.
Sama, you have to unmute.
Okay, what about that Krishna was safely in the custody of Yashoda?
Yeah.
What is that? Okay, you speak now, Shashi.
Well, they, like he said about them not giving up their anger or being freed from anger, relieved of all their anger. Then, so that was one part that I was looking at too. And then also because they knew that Krishna was safe with Yashoda, that they weren't so concerned that he was going to be able to heal Krishna anyway. But I don't know, did they think that this was going to be short-lived, or because he is a demon anyway, or are they just
if we remember when Vasudev didn't believe it, he didn't trust him. I think there was some indication in the text that he didn't believe Kamsa.
Yeah.
He's not to be trusted. I don't know if it's what we've read or what we will read.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyone else have any comments on this? Patti, you look like you want to say something.
I was waiting to see if there was any more. Yeah.
There's Sri Vrindavan. She has her hand.
Go ahead, Sri Vrindavan.
What I wanted to say was that from what I remembered, that Vasudeva and Devaki actually kind of did not remember that they had actually seen baby Krishna in that form. That that Krishna there was an exchange, that they didn't really remember that.
Where did you read that?
Yogamaya covered them so that when I mean that's maybe I don't know, maybe it was something which
I'd have to see that in print, or you have to have a reference for that. I never heard of that they didn't remember. That was their meditation. And when they saw, and it's interesting because they knew Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they were so concerned. Hide. Remember, Devaki said, I just want you to hide. I want to hide you. So get rid of this Vishnu form. I want to hide you because you're my son, but you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Well, what I'm saying is that the fact that Vasudeva brought baby Krishna through Nanda Maharaja's place, that exchange happened, that they did not remember later on, because that protected them.
Nanda and Yashoda didn't know that.
Right, but that protected them from, that when Kamsa actually asked them, they were very truthful because they didn't remember. Vasudeva was covered over by Yogamaya, that he could not remember.
I don't remember that one. Maybe
I don't know why. I have this understanding that this is what happened, and that's why they were.
Oh my goodness, we have to do some research here. Okay, Patti, do you remember?
No. One of the things that I'm appreciating is completely different angle of that experience, because they did have all the experiences that they had. When Kamsa finally was repentant and they saw that Yogamaya instructed him, because of all those different connections of events, they understood there's a greater plan here. Otherwise, how could they possibly excuse him and accept his regret. He killed 6 of their children. I don't care who you are. If you don't know the plan, there's no forgiveness in that kind of an event.
We were discussing this.
And what happens later on, Sama, the part you're talking about, is when the first son was born, Vasudeva, in order to fulfill the prophecy and everything, brought the child before Kamsa, and Kamsa said, no, you don't, it's the 8th child.
Oh, is that one?
You don't know. And at that point, Vasudeva knew. No,
You
I really,
don't
and
trust
that's when
this guy.
Narada Muni comes, and everything again switches back. But again, back to the point here, and also Sri Vrindavan, we know that later on in life, Vasudeva sent Gargamuni to do the name-giving ceremony, and then he also sent, when Kamsa came, and Kamsa sent Akrura to get Krishna and Balaram. It's not that Vasudeva and Devaki forgot that they were their children.
They're always
They had full wisdom and knowledge that was the point, and that he had brought him, even when he was talking with Nanda Maharaj, if you go into that pastime, after the appearance of Krishna, Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherd men went to Mathura to pay taxes. This is when the Putana pastime will take place. But what happens was, when Vasudeva met with Nanda Maharaj, he didn't reveal that he had done that, but he remembered it. So
right. There's reference to that.
Yeah,
There's reference to that.
I don't.
Right.
If you find it, please put it in the forums.
Yeah, let us
Some
know.
reference.
But, yeah, as far as I also understand, this was their meditation. They're
It's really helped me
always
just-
thinking.
Just in the last weeks of my life, seeing so many things that have not gone exactly the way I thought they might. Just put it into that package. It's all part of a bigger plan. It's really helped me.
Right. We don't have to know what's going on. We don't have to understand it. We're surrendered. We have to have faith that this has to be a reason, a divine, greater than my intelligence knows. Okay. Any other points for discussion here? Okay.
One point that I'll bring up is that due to the distractions that happened during the holidays, we're only going to post 5 lessons this December. So we'll only have 2 more of these Zooms that we'll have next week and the following week. And then we'll take a break for a few weeks, because everybody gets distracted there with family and friends and events and so many things. So just want everybody to know that. And I'll also post it in the different letters that come out, emails that we'll send out.
So Prabhuji, when would you restart then? In January?
Not exactly sure. We're still seeing how our schedule is going to develop. Done.
Thank you,
Thank you,
dear
everyone.
devotees.
Vanchakalpa Tarubhya.
You're all
Hare
very
Krishna. Have a
special.
good week, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.